Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Addie and this week's video is my mid-year tag. I'm very excited for this video because I love reflecting. I love the new year time because I love reflecting on my year and then looking forward and making new goals. This mid-year is okay, where am I? How have I been doing this year and what I want to do for the rest of the year. I do have multiple answers to some of these. I just couldn't pick a favorite or anything. So the first question is, what is the best book you have read so far this year? This is one where I do not have just one answer. I have a few and I've read, which is good because I've read a lot of good books this year. I actually have 5, so I'm not gonna delve into each of the books for these questions. I'm just gonna give speed around it so we're not sitting here for an hour. So the first book I don't think is gonna come as a surprise to anyone. It is Strange the Dreamer. I've been raving about this book. It was just so magical and so whimsical, and the plot was honestly genius. The characters were amazing. I loved the different themes in this book. It was just one of the best books I've ever read and it was so good. The next favorite of the year for me, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I absolutely adored this book. Honestly, the more I sit on it, the more I love it. When I first read it, I was like, yeah, that was good. But after finishing the series and reading more into the Cosmere as the year went out, the more and more I loved this book. I think about the Mistborn series all the time. Yeah, it was also my introduction into the Cosmere, which is, everyone knows, I love the Cosmere. I'm having so much fun going through these books. So the first one I started with will always hold a very special place in my heart. The next favorite of the year for me was A Funny Story by Emily Henry. Emily Henry is my favorite romance author of all time. She is #1. I would read her grocery list. I have not had an Emily Henry book that I didn't love, and this was not the exception. It was actually one of my favorites. Happy Place is still #1 for me, but this book was still so good. I love books where they're friends first and then they get together. This book was just so good, and she was a librarian and I just loved that. I love her writing. Her writing is just so beautiful and I just love her book so much. My next favorite was kind of a surprise, but I love this book so much, and it is Lovely War by Julie Berry. Before I picked this up, I had never heard anyone talk about it. I kind of hear it now. You ever have them, you pick up a book and you're I have never heard anyone speak on this, and then literally a week after I finished this, I was hearing about it everywhere and I was okay, cool. Thought I was unique, but that's cool. But I'm happy though that everyone's reading this book because it is amazing. It is a historical fiction romance, but it's told from the perspective of Aphrodite. I can't explain it to you because every time I try to explain it, because I've tried to explain it to so many people, because this is now one of my new all-time favorite books, I'm no, it's this and then this, and it's and people are what do you mean? I think you just need to go in this book blind. All you need to know is historical fiction told from Aphrodite, and the writing is beautiful. The 2 love stories in here are the most beautiful love stories I have ever read about. Which is kind of, I've read a lot of love stories. I still think about these couples so much. I love them so much. And my last favorite of the year was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. This series took me by a complete surprise. This series kind of put me into my cozy fantasy era, or kind of loving whimsical books, and I adored this one. I loved Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, but this one really took the cake for me. It just brought it up to a whole another level. I love the romance. Is so cute. Don't read it for the romance because you'll be disappointed because it's not totally prevalent, but the bits and pieces that you get are so cute. Emily is one of my favorite characters. Honestly, I just relate to her so much because all she wants is to be left alone with her books. She's so funny. She has 0 social skills, but she's incredibly intelligent and witty. She has her strengths and she's very intelligent, but her emotional intelligence is questionable. But I just love her so much, and I love Wendell. Also, this book reads as journal entries, as Emily's journal, and I love it so much, and I'm literally dying for the next one. The next question is, what is the best sequel you have read this year? And I'm trying so hard, guys, to not repeat myself. I have read 50 books this year so far, and that is what I'm kind of picking between, but it's definitely hard to not repeat. But I will not ramble on for a million times over books I've already said. The best sequel, hands down, is Muse of Nightmares. Everything we learned in Strange the Dreamer was just elevated in this book. Strange the Dreamer laid the foundation, and this just took it and ran with it, and it was just so beautifully written, just like the first one. And we learned so much more about the characters, and we got new characters, and everything just came together so perfectly, and that's exactly what I want in a sequel. Some runner-ups though of some great sequels was Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is like the first book I read, or like second book I read in the year, so sometimes I forget about it, but this was 5 stars and I loved this sequel. Honestly, I might have liked it a little bit better than the first one, which I know is a bit of an unpopular opinion, but like I just loved this book so much. I love Divine Rivals, and I thought this was, again, the perfect ending. Another runner-up was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. Such a great sequel. I talked about it enough, but it just, again, elevated the story. The next question is, what is your biggest disappointments of the year? I want to preface this by saying I didn't think the book was bad. It just, like, I was so excited for it. Literally, like, had a countdown on my phone for a year, and which is might be my fault that I hyped it up so much in my head. I'll just tell you the book. That is A House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas. The second Crescent City book, House of Earth and Blood, is one of my favorite books of all time. So, and the way it ended was just like a crazy setup for this book. So I was just dying to get to it. I don't know, I felt like it dragged. I rarely feel that with her books. I'm usually like gripped the entire time. I just love this series so much. I liked the way it wrapped up. I just think the way we got there wasn't great. I didn't like how certain characters were portrayed. I don't want to give away anything, but like I feel like there were characters that I wanted to see that we didn't really get to see, and they were implying we were gonna get to see them. And also the main character Bryce, I don't know who this Bryce was. She was not the Bryce in books 1 and 2, that's for sure, because she just got really annoying. But she was like such a cool badass character in the first 1 and 2. Like I loved her, but now I'm like, I kind of don't really like her anymore, because I'm like, girl, what happened to you? Why are we acting like this? I don't know. This was not the Bryce that I knew and loved, and I was just so sad because I was so excited for this book. I like made my mom go to the midnight release party with me, and when she had to work the next day. Shout out mom, love you for that. But anyway, don't want to harp on it because it wasn't a bad book. I liked a lot of aspects of it. I liked how it wrapped up. It didn't live up to what I wanted it to be in my head. Another disappointment that I had this year was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood is one of my favorite romance authors. I love her so much. I've loved all of her STEM romances, and I really like Check and Mate. So I was so excited when I heard about Bride, because like paranormal and romance together, like sign me up. It didn't do it for me. Her last few releases have been a little bit hit or miss for me. I think I'm gonna start borrowing her books from the library before I buy them, because they're not as like, oh, I'm gonna love that anymore. But which is not her fault. She is so free to steer her writing into whichever way she wants, and that is not a bash on her. It is just that it's not my particular taste anymore, but I do love her writing and I have fun with her books, so I'm still gonna give them a try. I'm just not gonna buy them right off the bat anymore. The next question is, what is a new release that you have not read yet? I have way too many of these. I am horrific at reading new releases. It's because I hype them up so much in my head because I get so excited for them. Like new book releases is like literally what I live for, truly. But then they come out and I'm like, no, I'm scared. I psych myself out. So I have like 5, I think, right now that I have not read that I really want to get to. So we'll see how it goes. The first one is The Invocation by Crystal Sutherland. First off, I love Crystal Sutherland. House of Hollow was, honestly, I didn't appreciate it when I first read it, but the more I sit and ponder on it, this happens to me all the time. Like, when I say after a reading log, oh, this wasn't 5 stars, I will change it months down the line, because like I cannot stop thinking about it. And that is one of those books. I loved House of Hollow, and I was so excited for The Invocations to come out. I'm still so excited to read it. I think for this one, I actually do have pretty good reasoning for this, is I am waiting for October. Based on the vibes of House of Hollow, I'm very excited to like, this is gonna be pretty spooky vibes, and I want that for my October reading. The next book that I have is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Holly Jackson is one of my favorite authors. She's an auto buy for me. I love The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I've actually never not liked a book by her. I loved 5 Survive, and I was super excited to hear about her new release. I just, again, psyched myself out. I don't know why I do this. I really want to read this maybe in like the next month or 2, because like it needs to happen. I just love her book so much. The next book that I have is actually the last like 3. I'm not gonna beat myself up over not reading, because like they just came out. The first one is The Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden. I know I'm gonna read this month. I was ecstatic for this release. I love the Housemaid series. The Housemaid is probably one of my favorite thrillers of all time, and I can't wait to see how it wraps up. And she just always keeps me on the edge of my feet, and I know I'm gonna have so much fun while reading this. The next book that I have is a novel love story by Ashley Poston, and this just came out like at the end of June. I have very big plans to read this month, so I'm very excited to get to this. I love Ashley Poston. She is quickly becoming one of my favorite romance authors, and she has just beautiful writing, and I love how she has like fantastical elements embedded in her romances because that makes them much more up my alley. So I'm very excited to get to this. And the last new release that I have to read is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and I know I'm gonna read this month because it is on my summer ween TBR. Riley Sager is one of my all-time favorite thriller authors. Actually, he might be my all-time favorite thriller author. I love his books. The Only One Left is my favorite thriller. I'm just so excited to read this. The next question is, what are my most anticipated releases for the rest of the year? Honestly, I don't really see that many. Like, I feel like all the releases that I was looking forward to were scheduled for the beginning of the, like the first 6 months of the year, and there aren't that many that I can think of that I'm like dying for to come out. But the only one that I am very excited about is Throne of Secrets by Kerri Maniscalco. It actually happens to come out October 29th, which is the day before my birthday, and I'm so excited because I don't want to be doing it on my birthday. I actually got Throne of the Fallen for my birthday last year. Now this one's coming out right before my birthday this year. It's just like my new birthday series, I guess. I am super excited for this release. I love Kerri Maniscalco. I don't talk about her that much, but Kingdom of the Wicked and Throne of the Fallen are some of my favorite books. Like, I am obsessed with that series, and I like don't talk about it enough. I don't know why, but like I love those books immensely, and I think about them quite often. Like the vibes of in both of the books, like that, like Sicily, Italy kind of vibes, I just live for, and like I am having the time of my life in this world right now, and I am very excited to read the next one. The next question is, what is your biggest surprise of the year? And this is really easy for me. It is Lovely War by Julie Berry, hands down. Like, I had never heard anything said about this book prior to reading it, and that's like the best feeling too. Like when you just go to Barnes, pick up a book because like it just looks good and you've never seen it, and then you just read it and it's phenomenal, and you're like, why is no one talking about this? And I probably sound like an idiot because now people are talking about it, but like when I read it, no one was, and when I bought it, no one was. But I absolutely adored this book. Like, it was just such a pleasant surprise. I loved it so much, and I really want to do a reread and annotate it, and this was just such a pleasant surprise. I do want to also mention another surprise. This wasn't as big of a surprise, but it did surprise me, and it was Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I adored this book. Like, it was so good, and usually, I don't know, the standalones I've read, I must have only read Elantris as a standalone. I guess I just wasn't expecting that much from this because it, you know, it's not one of his big like series that's super built up, but like for a story like this, I didn't think it needed to be more than it was. It was great because you got different insights into his other series, and like it really helped me connect different pieces of the Cosmere, and I loved all the characters. I loved the magic system in here. I thought the use of like colors was really cool in it. I just had so much fun reading this book. It was just pure fun the entire time. The plot was genius and the characters were amazing, and I just had a great time. The next question is, what is my new favorite author and of the year? And easy peasy, and it's easily Brandon Sanderson. I've read 6 of his books this year and a ton of different short stories and novellas. I'm just so excited that I finally started the Cosmere, and I feel like I'm like kind of entering a little like club, I guess, because I hear everyone talking about it. I just feel like so included now that I know what people are talking about, and I'm so excited to read the rest of his books. And yeah, there's no other author that I've read this year that I've read as many amount of books from them and have enjoyed as many amount of books from them. So okay, like I found a lot of new great authors this year, but the quality and quantity of all of his books that I've consumed just outrank everyone. The next question is, who is my new favorite character? I have 2 for this. The first one comes to no surprise, it's Laszlo Strange from Strange the Dreamer. I love him. He is the sweetest, kindest just character I've ever read about, I think. What I really enjoyed, and I've talked about this, is it was refreshing to see a male main character in a fantasy book be kind and gentle and helpful and selfless. I feel like you don't usually see that in fantasy books, and he was such a breath of fresh air. He was genuinely had a heart of gold, and I just loved his heart. I just love him so much. And my other new favorite main character is, no surprise, Emily Wilde. I love her so much, and I just find her amusing and funny. Like, she is so just no BS, like, just let me do my anthropological work. Like, I just want to study these fairies and be left alone with my books and my studies. And you know, she's real for that. She's fun. That's the noise she makes when she has a ball in her mouth. I don't know why she sounds like she's dying, but I promise she's okay. Yup. Brought me a ball. Anyway, I just loved Emily, and I'm so excited to see like what kind of mischief and shenanigans she gets up to next. Also, a new favorite character for me, I totally forgot to include this. It is Veronica Speedwell from the Veronica Speedwell series. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention her. I love her. She's kind of, in a way, she reminds me a little bit of Emily Wilde, to be honest, but like she's more outgoing, but they're very similar because they're both incredibly intelligent. Her personality style is definitely doesn't match the 1800s, but it's kind of fun to just feel like, yeah, I'm a woman and I'm a scientist and I'm gonna investigate this murder and you're gonna do what I say. And I just love her. She's so funny and just takes literally no BS from anyone. I just love seeing what she's like, kind of shenanigans she's getting up to, just like with Emily Wilde. The next question is, what is a book that made you cry? And there's a lot because I'm kind of a crier. Actually, I'm not like a crier, but I definitely missed it a lot. One book that made me kind of tear up was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I don't know, like the ending of like the wrap up of this book, it kind of like got me a little misty, like it got me very emotional, and I just think I felt so much for the characters in this. And I think also the seeing, like, because this is an interconnected standalone, so like having the background knowledge of reading those plus then reading this, like it got me a little teary-eyed. And this was so much more than a romance. I love Abby Jimenez. She has so many really complex characters with storylines that go way beyond the romance, and that storyline just, it really got me near the end. Another book that had me crying a little bit was a novella. It was Powerful by Lauren Roberts, which I was not expecting because like I like Powerless, I have fun with it, but that's about as far as my opinions go with it. I don't love it as much as everyone loves it, but it's a fun time. So if you like, and that's really all I'm looking for sometimes, and I was not expecting that much out of this, and I knew what was gonna happen, but that ending just like, I don't know, it really got me. I don't know what happened. And Lovely War also made me cry at the end. This book made me sob. This one really got my heartstrings going because I was just so invested in these characters. Another book that had me crying and tearing up a bit was, I don't have it with me right now, I don't know why I didn't grab it, and because this is the biggest surprise cry of the year for sure, it was The Dixon Rule by Elle Kennedy, and I was not expecting to cry during this. It was like a cute hockey romance cartoon cover. In no world did I think I was gonna cry to this, but the last 10% of that book were devastating and like it had me sobbing at 2 a.m. I was like, I don't know what's going on right now, and I don't know why this is having this reaction out of me. That book got like weirdly emotional, that last 10%, but like I wasn't mad about it. That one had me sobbing. Next up is a book that made me happy, and that is A Curious Beginning by Diana Rayburn. This book made me so happy. Nothing makes me happier than sitting down and reading about Veronica and Stoker's little adventures that they go on and watching them solve mysteries together. Like, and then at the end when it all just comes together perfectly, like it's just so much fun for me. Like nothing makes me happier than watching Veronica and Stoker, their relationship blossom. Like, oh, I love these books and they definitely make me very happy. The next question is, what is the best book to movie adaptation that you've read this year? And I have not watched the show for this yet, but I plan on it. Based on just like loving the book alone that I know is now a movie, is The Handmaid's Tale. This is like the only book to movie I've read this year. We're not gonna talk about how I haven't seen the movie or the show yet. That's okay. But absolutely adored this book. This book is a book that I think everyone should read in their lifetime, and it's just one of those where it really got me. Just like, it made me really reflect on the world that we're living in. And also, Margaret Atwood said that everything that happened to women in this book has happened to women somewhere in the world in history. So in that kind of gives it a whole another level of like perspective, I guess. I just absolutely love this book. And as you can see, I have so many annotations. The writing was really beautiful and the story was honestly just genius. I understand why it's a modern classic, and I do think everyone should read this at some point. The last question is, what are some books that you still really want to read this year? These are them. There are way too many to choose. Like, there's so many books that I need to get to. I'm gonna narrow it down to like 4. The first book I would really like to get to is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, because I love Leigh Bardugo. The Six of Crows is like some of my favorite all-time like books ever, and I need to read her more adult series. And also I really want to get into some dark academia because I love The Secret History, so I don't know why I don't read more of that. So definitely want to get to Ninth House this year. The next book is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Duane Jones. I've just heard so much about this. I hear so many references everywhere, and I just want to understand. I want to be in the loop, and I want to watch the movie. I love it. It looks so whimsical and so cute, and I really like middle grade books, so for just like a fun time. So I'm very excited to get to this. The next book that I really want to get to before the year ends is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This will actually be a reread for me because I was reading all the Shadowhunter books and I read so many of them, and I got up to Lady Midnight. I read all the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices, and I got up to like Lady Midnight and halfway through Queen of Shadows, and then I just stopped, and I don't know why. I think I just kind of got burnt out and I just completely forgot about them. But I really want to finish the Shadowhunter series because I love it so much. And again, this is one of the ones, the Infernal Devices is like some of my favorite books of all time, and I never talk about them. I think it's because I read them kind of a couple years ago, but again, some of my favorites, so the more you know. But I do want to finish up the Shadowhunter series. I just don't really remember what happened in this book, so I don't think I can just like pop in where I left off. So I would like to reread this and continue on with Shadowhunters. And the last book that I would really like to get to this year is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, because I have never read Harry Potter, and I have the whole series and I have never read it, and I read the first 2 and I enjoyed them. But I feel like it needs to be fall because these books give so much fall vibes, so I'm probably going to start these up again in like September-ish. So I just want to finish the series. I have been reading it for like a year and I'm like on the 3rd book, but this fall I am determined to read this. So that is all the questions for the mid-year tag. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. Sometimes I just love sitting down and just chatting with you guys. I am very, very excited for the rest of this year. I have a lot of really fun reading plans. So far there's been a really good year of reading. I've read 50 books so far, so if we keep this up, it's not out of the realm that I could read 100 books this year at all. My goal is 75, and I always read 75 books a year. That's kind of like the baseline. There's only been one year that I've actually gotten to 100, but this year's looking pretty good. I'm halfway through. I'm at 50, so we're right on track. So I guess we'll see. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you guys like my videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. I post every single Monday and sometimes Friday. And comment down below your favorite book that you've read so far this year. Thank you guys again for watching, and I hope you guys have a fabulous week, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!